Hi, I'm Stephen Howard, and in this video on the art of humany leadership, I want to share with you 5 of the 10 power skills of humany leadership. Now, these are not soft skills. The humany leadership approach terminates the whole mindset, the whole concept that human-based leadership skills are soft. In fact, they're anything but soft. And in today's world, they are truly essential and powerful skills that create a new leadership focus, a new leadership ethos, and a new leadership mindset. So the first 5 are emotional intelligence, empathy, progressing into compassion, dealing with uncertainty and ambiguity, resiliency, and adaptability. Let's take a look at each of these in more detail. First, emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is not a so-called soft skill. In fact, it's a hard-edged leadership skill that provides high value and bottom-line results. It is the true effect and impact that we have on those around us, and it's a critical skill that brings out our best performance and allows us to bring out the best in those that we lead and those that we influence. At its core, emotional intelligence involves self-awareness, self-regulation, and self-monitoring of healthy emotions for the sustainable careers, sustainable personal lives. It provides us with actionable tools to better connect with colleagues and clients, and to make more sound decisions, particularly when we're under pressure. Daniel Goleman, the Rutgers professor, psychologist, and author of the book Emotional Intelligence, he called emotional intelligence basically the foundation of leadership. He said, without it, person can have the best training in the world, an incisive analytical mind, an endless supply of smart ideas, but they still won't make a great leader. So emotional intelligence is really one of the foundational elements of being a great leader. Part of emotional intelligence is having empathy. Our world today seems to be fixated on what divides us, what divides people, what divides societies, what divides communities, and even nations. There are powerful forces out there, including politicians, leaders, even the media, which all seem to be focused at tearing everyone apart. As a result, a good portion of our population in many countries around the world are embracing and openly expressing anger. People are boiling and seething, both in public and unfortunately now in our workplaces. And as they actively reject empathy for those with whom they disagree, these attitudes and behaviors are permeating into our workplace. This makes leadership even more difficult. However, in this environment, having empathy and expressing compassion may be just a radical act that leaders need to display. You have to nip frictional behavior, words, and actions in the bud as soon as you can. Don't allow them to spread in your workplace. You have to take a stand and put an end to anything incompatible with workplace harmony. We may not be able to fix all the problems dividing people today, but as leaders, we can certainly learn or relearn how to show compassion and assist people affected, even by external events. And so that's what I talk about when I say empathy with compassion. The third powerful skill is probably one of the most important leadership skills today, and it's the ability to navigate uncertainty and ambiguity. This means knowing what you can and cannot control, what you can and cannot predict, and even planning for an uncertain, ambiguous, and frequently changing future. While it may be trite to say that change is the only constant in life, that phrase has never been a more accurate description of our world. Not only has the pace of change quickened, it now comes from so many different angles: artificial intelligence, rapidly spreading global viruses, governments closing borders, social disruptions, changing attitudes about work and workplace environments, supply chain issues, and even the disintegration of social cohesion. The initial reaction to uncertainty and ambiguity is often to be defensive, cut budgets, reduce workforce. But that's not going to work long term. We now need to plan for uncertainty and ambiguity. In fact, you might even call it the new leadership skill is called leading through uncertainty and ambiguity. And it's probably, if you can do that, it's probably one of the most important hiring skills you can do. In fact, I now coach people that when they're interviewing candidates for a job, one of the best questions you can ask them is this: tell me a time when you had to make a decision when all the facts were not present, when the future wasn't clear. How did you proceed? And let them explain the situation. But most importantly, ask this follow-up question: what did you learn about yourself, about your team, about leading your team during this process? Don't focus on what the results are. The results are going to be so situational. What depended on the economic environment at the time, what was happening in the macro environment, what was happening with competitors. What you want to know before you hire this person is, what did they learn about dealing with uncertainty and ambiguity? What did they learn about themselves? What did they learn about their team? And most importantly, what did they learn about leading a team through times of uncertainty and ambiguity? Closely aligned to handling ambiguity and uncertainty is resilience. A resilient person is somebody who bounces back or rebounds from a difficult situation or a setback. When you're able to do this, you stop all that negative momentum dead in its tracks. Resilience is a skill that enables you to respond to any situation in a way that will help you progress to your future desired state. Resilience is like a muscle. And you can only build this muscle by actually experiencing difficult situations. It's kind of like you can't learn to swim without jumping into a swimming pool. All the theories of swimming just won't work. Resilience is the same way. Until you experience it, until you get knocked down and learn to get back up, you won't grow your resiliency muscle. Now, the beauty of this is that resilient people build resilient organizations. So as a leader, don't worry about the tough times. Worry about what you're going to learn, what your team's going to learn, and how you can apply those lessons in the future. That's what resilience is all about. And the fifth power skill of human leadership is about adaptability. Change is certain. As we discussed just a minute ago, dealing with ambiguity and uncertainty is inevitable. Now, without a doubt, the pandemic has accelerated the importance of agility and adaptability as critical leadership skills. But now there's a huge difference. Prior to the pandemic, adaptability was a reaction. You reacted to things. You pivoted as quick as you could. You put SWAT teams together. I would suggest today you need to be preemptive in thinking about being adaptable. It's no longer good enough to build plan A and plan B. I suggest you now need plan A, plan B, maybe plan B1 and B2, plan C, C1, C2, and C3, and maybe even plans D and F. There's a great quote by Dwight D. Eisenhower who said, plans are worthless, but planning is everything. And that's the mindset you need to go into the future. Multiple plans, multiple options, and know what kind of events will trigger a change in course. You can't adapt quick enough in today's environment, waiting for something to happen and then pull everyone together, put a crisis team together and figure out how to change course. It's better to plan in advance, plan for possible, predictable events to happen. And then when they do happen, allow your people to be empowered to make those changes you've already agreed upon. Have planned strategies in place so that when something triggers, you know how to proceed. That's what adaptability is going to be about. And that's the key skill for adaptability in the future, is understanding how to plan for adaptability rather than react in an adaptable way. So there you have it, the first 5 power skills of human leadership: emotional intelligence, empathy with compassion, dealing with ambiguity and uncertainty, resiliency, and adaptability. In the next video, we'll talk about the next 5 power skills of human leadership. In the meantime, this is Stephen Howard wishing you continued success.